Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to bring this video to you guys today. Over the last 3 years, you guys have asked me dozens, if not hundreds of questions about my Echelon EX3 spin bike. And so today, for today's video, I wanted to answer all of your guys' frequently asked questions, most common questions, and any question, honestly, that you guys have asked me, I'm going to be answering in today's video. So if you guys want to hear all about my Echelon EX3 spin bike, if you want to know if it's a good purchase, you want to know the ins and outs of owning an Echelon EX3 spin bike and how I use it with the Peloton app, please make sure to stick around till the end of the video. For those of you guys that don't know who I am, hello, hi, how's it going? My name is Anika and I'm an American living in London, and I have a passion, a love, a enjoyment for my spin classes, and that is why I actually bought the Echelon EX3 spin bike. If you have not seen my previous videos, I have done dozens of videos about my Echelon EX3 spin bike. If you want to check out any of those videos, I will link it up in the cards for you, or of course down in the description of this video. So let's jump into today's video. I will be answering all the questions that you guys have left as comments on my previous Echelon EX3 spin video. So I will be using my phone to read the questions out loud, and I'll put them on the screen, and then I will give you guys my honest, straightforward answers so you know exactly what my experience has been. So the first question says, what is the distance between the handlebars? Do you think it can hold any size tablet such as an iPad Pro 12.9 inch? Same question for both balancing a tablet and using it with the Echelon tablet holder. So this is a great question. The tablet holder that comes with the Echelon EX3 spin bike that you can see up here is something that is attached to the spin bike. The EX3 does not come with a tablet built in, and as such, you can use any size tablet. I have used an iPad mini before, and I now have an iPad Air, and it is the 12 or 11.9 inch, and it fits perfectly fine. It is an adjustable tablet holder, so it really can hold any size tablet. The second question is something that I get asked all the time, like literally all the time. I mean, so many people have asked the same question. So the question is, do you have to pay for two apps to make the Echelon and Peloton work together? Just wondering how you're able to connect the Echelon bike and get the stats. So let me be crystal clear. You do not have to pay for both the Echelon and Peloton app to use this spin bike with different classes. You don't have to pay for Apple Fitness Plus and Echelon. You only have to pay for the app that you want to actually get the spin class videos from. But that being said, you also have to make sure you do download the Echelon EX3 spin bike app, because you need to connect the bike to Bluetooth to that specific app in order to control the resistance. So you do not have to pay for that. You can download the EX3 or the Echelon app and then register your bike on that app. And it is called freestyle mode. For those of you guys that don't know, when you enter freestyle mode, it is just going to display all your stats on the screen. It is just going to show you like your resistance, how many spins you're making, all that kind of stuff. And then what you will do is either on a different device, or if you have an iPad that can do split screen, what you can do is actually have the split screen of all the metrics from Echelon on one side, and then you can have the Peloton spin class on the other side. The third question, so when they say to add 2 or 3 in resistance on the Peloton app, do you divide that number by 1/3 for Echelon? So if they add 3, you only add 1. And this is really tricky in the beginning, and I say that I also had struggles with this, but the way Peloton resistance and the way Echelon resistance works on the bike is totally different. So when the Peloton instructor says increase by 10, that actually could probably mean 1 or 2 or maybe 3 on the Echelon bike. I would say basically test it out, see how you feel, but a good rule of thumb is if Peloton says increase by 3 or 4, I would increase by 1 on the Echelon. There are actually tons of charts and conversion charts online that you can buy from Etsy and stuff, and you can buy that and stick it onto your bike, and then you can use that as a guide. I never have, I've just kind of felt the difference, but if you need that, I will link that product down in the description of this video. So the next question says, so you can just download the Echelon app for free to be able to get stats. Yes, you can. Now, when I purchased my Echelon spin bike, you actually have to pay for a month subscription of the spin bike app, which meant like the classes and etc. that came with Echelon. I don't know if you still have to do that today, but like I said, if you go into the Apple App Store or you go into Android Store, wherever you're going to download on whichever device, when you download the Echelon app, there is an opportunity to create a username and password, etc. But when you log in, there's an option to actually just use freestyle mode. So do not subscribe to anything and just collect and hit that freestyle mode. And when you hit freestyle, it basically allows you to ride the bike without any class, which is exactly what you want to do if you want to sync up your bike with Peloton classes or Apple Fitness Plus classes. So the next question says, having an iPad and your phone on the same time is a pain, in my opinion, though. And I assume you need an app and connected in order for the Echelon to even work, essentially. And you are correct. You do need to have the Echelon app open or some sort of app. There are a number out there, and I'll link them all down in the description of this video and on the screen as well. But you do have to actually have an app that the bike connects to via Bluetooth in order to control the resistance. You do need to have that. But what's great about it is you can now, with the new iOS update, I don't know about Android, with the new iOS update, you can actually split screen your iPad. So on one side, you can have the Echelon app with all your stats and metrics, and on the other side, you can have your Peloton or Apple Fitness Plus class. Next question. So with this bike, I can get all the Peloton workouts and classes for $12 a month. Also, you mentioned Peloton app has other workouts like strength conditioning, yoga, lifting, etc. So these workouts are not biking workouts, right? They're just different workouts that you can access in case you don't feel like biking. Do the strength and conditioning classes work, or other workouts include any weights, barbells, kettlebells, etc.? Great question. I get a lot of questions about the Peloton app. I have a whole separate video on that, so if you want to check that out, I will link it up in the cards right now or in the description of this video. But essentially, yes, when you pay for the Peloton app only, that does not come with the bike, someone who doesn't have a Peloton, someone who doesn't even have a spin bike can actually download the Peloton app, and you pay £12 a month in the UK, and I think it's $12.99 in the US. But basically, the pricing is just for the app use, but you can use any of the classes within the app. And the classes vary so much. Like the question says, there are yoga classes, strength classes, there are a number of outdoor walking classes if you want to just go outside and walk. There are so many. I have to say, Peloton does take the cake when it comes to the options of all the different classes that you can take within the Peloton app. Much like Apple Fitness Plus does nowadays too, but I think Peloton has a bigger library of classes that you can take. And there are weights classes in the Peloton app as well, but you obviously have to have your own weights and dumbbells and kettlebells at your house or wherever you're working out. But yes, there are weights classes, there's conditioning classes, there's Pilates, there's bar, there's yoga, there's so many, honestly. It's a great variety. Awesome. So the next question says, if you use the Echelon app just for the cadence and resistance, are you able to hook up with two different phones? I would want to share my bike with my husband. And can the Peloton app be shared on one device too? So a few things with this. With Peloton, Echelon, Apple Fitness Plus, anyone who subscribes to any of these workout apps, you will know that when you subscribe, there's only one profile on these apps. So what I have to say is when you subscribe and you have your profile, it's always going to store your stats, your previous workouts, your previous rides, all in that one app and all under your data. So what I would recommend for the woman asking this question, yes, you and your husband can definitely share the bike, no problem. The only thing is you guys are both going to have to subscribe to whichever fitness classes or workout or spin classes that you want to do on your individual phones. So you can use one device to just connect up the bike and make sure it turns on for resistance, no problem, no issue. But then you're going to have to use separate apps when it comes to logging into Peloton or Apple Fitness Plus. And that's only, by the way, if you want to track your stats differently. So if you guys are fitness enthusiasts and you want to know how many calories you burned or how long of a ride you did, all those stats are personal to an individual. But if you don't care about that and you just kind of want to ride and then like see your stats for that one class, and you're not interested in storing the data on an Apple Watch or on your Apple Health app or anything, then you can just use the same app, no worries. Next question. How have you secured both the iPad and the iPhone to the bike? I have bought mine today and I prefer to use iPhone for metrics and iPad to watch something. Also, is there an option to finish a ride in freestyle mode so I can mark the cycle as finished so it pushes to Strava? And great question, lots of questions in there. So first of all, yes, you can secure both your iPad and your phone to the bike. I actually have a separate holder for my iPhone. I use a car holder for my iPhone on the bike, and then I use the actual tablet holder for my iPad. So I would actually recommend that just because it keeps it more stable rather than trying to shove both of them into the tablet holder. And when it comes to recording all your rides, you can use any app that you want to record it. I actually personally use my Apple Watch and Apple Fitness, so that's where I record all my data. But if you have a Strava account and you want to push to there, you totally can. You just have to make sure on the Echelon app, you have Strava connected so it knows to push the data once the ride is finished. Next question, can you tell me how many turns of the resistant knob it takes to go from 0 to 32? So this is really hard to say because there's no like exact science to it, but I would say about 7 full turns gets you from 0 to the highest resistance on the bike, which is 32. It varies from time to time, but I've noticed every single time I do a full turn, it goes about 10 notches. And like I said, 32 is the max. So it takes about 3 to go to the full resistance of the Echelon. Next question, does this mean that you can't save your info numbers on the Peloton app? So what you can do is actually log the workout on Peloton, and if you want to connect that up with Apple Fitness Plus, or Apple Fitness I should say, it's totally possible, but you're not going to actually see all your stats on the screen when it comes to Peloton. That only is possible with Peloton on their actual spin bike. So in the app, all you're going to see is the time that you have left on the bike and anyone else that's taking the class at the same time as you. Next question, when you have your phone and tablet on the holder, does your phone ever fall off? Do they stay in place? So when I had an iPad mini, I put the iPad mini and then the phone on top of it, and it was fine just because it was well secured. But now that I have a bigger tablet and also a bigger phone, I actually got a separate holder for my phone. It's just like a pop socket car phone holder thing. So it's like a car holder for my phone, and then I just put that on my spin bike, and then I put the tablet into the tablet holder. I would recommend that because especially if you're doing like a very high intensity or spinning really fast, you might actually get the phone or tablet falling out if you have both of them in the tablet holder. So the next question is something I get asked a lot as well, and I will read it out. First, it says, I want to get a Peloton or Echelon. I'm based in the UK. I thrive on competition leaderboard, so I want to know how I can achieve some sort of competitiveness by getting an Echelon. Will I only be able to be competitive during a live class with USA Times, or can I still be competitive with pre-recorded classes? So, honest truth here, you cannot actually end up on the leaderboard if you are not in a live class with Peloton. And even that, it's really rare that you see your stats correctly on Peloton. That being said, I just don't think that the leaderboard, if you're really, really into it, it would be a good idea to buy the Echelon and then use the Peloton app. If you are truly competitive and you want to see how you stack up and your stats against someone else and your name in the leaderboard, I would recommend buying the actual Peloton spin bike because that is going to track your exact metrics in the spin bike and then display that in the leaderboard. The Peloton app, you cannot sync all that data, and because of that, even if you join a live class, likely your data is just not going to be accurate, and that means that you're not going to show up on the leaderboard. So sorry about that. It's not really meant if you want to do the leaderboard. So if you're really, really passionate about being on the leaderboard, then I wouldn't get the Echelon bike with the Peloton app. I would actually just get the Peloton bike. Next question, does the Peloton app you are using have scenic rides like on the Peloton bike? Yes, both the Peloton app and the Echelon app both have scenic rides. I've done the Singapore ride on Peloton. It is lovely, it is beautiful, and I really liked it. Next question, do you have an extra attachment for your phone in addition to using the iPad on the console? Yes, as I've said before, I do use a car phone holder for my phone now, and that is just on the actual spin bike itself, and I've attached it myself, and that's where my phone sits. Next question, do you find the console plastic cheap? It seems a little bit out of place with the build and quality of the rest of the bike. Yes, I have to agree. The tablet holder and then just the console itself is plastic covering. I do find it a bit cheap in comparison to the rest of the build of the bike, but if I'm honest, 3 years later, it is still holding up and it still gives a very sleek, full finish to the bike, so I don't think it's that cheap, although it might look cheap in the beginning. Next question, how do you remove ads from the Echelon freestyle screen? Unfortunately, you cannot remove the ads because you have to pay for the app for the ads to go away. So if you are using just freestyle mode on the free app, you are going to see ads. Next question, which heart rate monitor do I use? Do I connect it to the Echelon bike or the Peloton app? So I use my Apple Watch as my heart rate monitor. You can do either. You can connect your heart rate monitor, whether it's a watch or an actual heart rate monitor that you're wearing, to either Peloton or to Echelon. It's your choice. It just depends on how you want to store your data. So I personally do all my workouts in the Peloton app, and because of that, I sync it to Peloton. And when you do sync it to Peloton, you'll actually see your heart rate on the screen during the class. Next question, how do you log rides? And I have to say I log all my rides on my Apple Watch or Apple Fitness. That is exactly how I log all my workouts. So all my workout data, including my rides, are all located there. Next question is, how long did it take for me to put my spin bike together? And if I'm honest, I kind of messed up quite a few times, but it took me about 2 hours and I did it all by myself and no help whatsoever because it was during lockdown and I was living alone, so no one could help me. So because of that, 2 hours all by myself. And if I could do it, honestly, anyone can. Next question, how much of the weight would you say is just in the base, i.e. the flywheel? I asked because I'm thinking of getting an EX3, but I'm on the 3rd floor of a walk-up. I'm a 6'3" guy in his early 30s, average strength, but I'm not sure if I could get the whole box up there myself, and I was wondering how much easier it would be to carry the unassembled base up on its own. Great question. When the box arrived for me, it was 57 kilos in total, which really heavy. Luckily, the UPS driver actually put it in the lift because I was in an apartment and I was on the 3rd floor, and put it up onto the 3rd floor for me and actually helped me push it down the hall into my actual flat, which was really, really kind of him. To speak frankly, if you want to take it apart because you have to walk it up in parts because you live in a walk-up, the flywheel itself is only 14 kilos, so I guess you can definitely take it in parts and get it upstairs, no problem. Next question. Hello, thanks for the video. I do have a quick question. Does the Echelon app sync with Apple Watch to close rings, or do you need to set that on the bike while working out? So I actually start a workout on my app, and I actually just do spin class, or spinning actually, on the watch itself, and then it records my heart rate, calories burned, etc., and that's going to record everything for me. I don't sync anything to Strava or anything like that, so I just link everything to my watch. So when I set up my bike, have my spin class ready to go, I just start my workout on my watch. Next question, do you think the Echelon EX3 is worth the extra money over the sport version? Would the sport be good enough for a beginner, or do you think it would be outgrown too quickly? So this is a great question, and after 3 years of owning my spin bike, I would actually say go for the sport. The Echelon EX3 is brilliant. It's actually a more heavy duty, better built bike, super professional. If you are an avid spinner and you love spinning and you know you're gonna spin every week, every day, that kind of stuff, then the EX3 is built for longevity. I will not deny that because I've had it for 3 years. But the sport version, which is about half the price of the EX3, is essentially the same. And if you are using Peloton or Apple Fitness Plus, it doesn't matter which bike you get as long as it has some way of controlling resistance on it. So I would say the sport is perfectly perfect for a beginner. Next question, where did you buy your spin bike? Does it matter where you purchase it? So I personally bought this on the Echelon website because they had an offer on at the time. But there are a number of places you can buy the Echelon spin bike. So I know you can get them at Target, you can get them at Costco, you can get it on Amazon now, on Echelon's direct website. You can get it basically anywhere. I personally got it from Echelon, and actually I appreciate getting it from Echelon because I had an issue with one of the pedals before, and thankfully I emailed Echelon customer support and they were able to sort me out really quickly. All I would say is wherever you get it from, it doesn't matter where, just make sure there's a good warranty on it, because just in case anything happens, you want to have the option of swapping things out, changing it. It's a big item purchase and you want to have a warranty on it. Next question is, do you use the Echelon app for the resistance to work? Yes, you do need to use some sort of app. Not necessarily Echelon. You can use a few different apps, to be honest, but you need to have an app that connects via Bluetooth with the bike in order to actually increase the resistance. Next question, can you let me know why you have to keep the bike connected to an outlet? Of course, you have to keep the bike connected to an outlet because the resistance is actually controlled by electricity. It is not just one of the spin bikes where resistance is controlled by turning the knob. You have to power it up, and when you power it up and connect it to an app, that is when you can control resistance. Next question, similar to before, how do you adjust the tension or the resistance? It is all controlled through the knob. You just turn the knob, but you have to make sure the bike is plugged into a power outlet, and then you also have to make sure that you are connecting the bike to an app via Bluetooth. Next question, what is the length of the bike from the rear most point to the ends of the handlebars? I'm trying to fit it in a very tight space. Great question. This is the information I have from the Echelon website. It is 54.5 in length, 20 in width, and 55 in height, and that's in inches. Next question is, what type of clip-ins can you buy for the shoes? I'm used to this. I personally use the SPD shoes, so that SPD clip-ins as well. Peloton uses a different type of clip, so if you want a Peloton shoe, you're gonna have to get a different type of pedal as well. But the Echelon spin bike comes with the pedals that allow for SPD clips, or you can put in your normal trainer as well. Next question is, do they offer live classes, same as Peloton? Yes, Echelon offers live classes as well. I personally have never taken them, but they have a number of classes, including live classes for spin. Next question is, can a short person ride this bike? I'm 5'2". Yes, you can. I'm actually 5'1", and I ride the bike. Next question is, will the Zwift app work with this bike? Yes, it will, along with Strava and a number of other apps. Next question, is it possible to just use a 14-day trial and cancel prior to being charged and still have access to the freestyle ride part of the Echelon app? My worry is that whether they're forcing people to use and pay for the Echelon membership now, my hope was to just use this with the Peloton membership. So I'm not sure what's happening anymore, because obviously I've had the bike for a number of years, but I continue to use the Zwift app as well as the Peloton app, and it's no issue. But I think with Echelon, you can still use the freestyle mode. Don't quote me on that. But what I did when I purchased my bike is I bought the membership for just a month because I had to, and then I canceled the Echelon membership after like 3 days because I was just like, this is not worth it. And then I canceled it, and then I could still continue to use the Echelon app for free on the freestyle mode. Next question is, what would happen if I bought a used bike? How would the app accept the bike info if someone else has already registered it? So I think that you'll totally be fine, because when you download an app and you actually sign up with your name and your email, what you can do is just register a bike to that name and email address. I don't think it actually holds the information over to a new user. It's only an issue if you use the same username. So with a new email address and a new user set up, you shouldn't have an issue with a used bike. Next question is, quick question about the USB port near the handlebars. Is it for charging your iPad? Yes, I do actually charge my iPhone or my iPad from time to time on the actual USB port, and that is really great, especially if you forget to charge your device before you actually start riding, or if you're doing a really long ride and you want to use the device to continue to watch TV or something, you can. Next question, it says, you said you didn't like the Echelon classes. How are they compared to Peloton? I am thinking about buying an EX3 and want to get the Echelon classes, but I don't know if it's worth getting the classes. So here's my thing. My personal desire, how I like spinning, is more rhythmic, dancing, jumpy, up and down, that kind of spinning. More like dancing at a club, but on a spin bike, really. So if you like more rhythmic and spin beats, like to the beat, then I would say Peloton has more offering. Echelon, I would say, have okay music and okay instructors, but I just don't feel the energy and the passion, and definitely not the rhythmic rides that you get in Echelon. Also, the other thing I will say, because Peloton partners with a lot of artists, they're able to have a lot of the newest, most chart music, I would say. Like, they had a Taylor Swift series, a Beyonce series, a Busta Rhymes series. They have so many different artist series, which means that they have the coolest and best playlists and music. So if you're really passionate into like dancing and the music and the beat of songs, I would say Peloton has better options in Echelon, because all the Echelon songs that I did have were great songs, but they were more dated, meaning like they were older songs. So it was like still awesome music, but I just felt like the ride itself wasn't to the beat of the music, and that's why I didn't like it. Next question is, what about workouts? Putting the bike through its paces, spinning, maximum resistance level, feedback from the pedals, flywheel, any feedback on that? Okay, so basically I think that this bike is built amazingly. It has a 14 kilo flywheel, and because of that, just the weight, the overall resistance of the bike is amazing. I would say I have had no issues with the bike itself. I had one pedal issue kind of, and it was, I think, a defect that Echelon replaced, but overall it is a well-built spin bike. It is a professional level spin bike. You could probably see the equivalent of this at a spin studio. So overall, the actual resistance of it, the weight, your weight on the spin bike, no issues for me thus far. Next question is, once the bike is assembled, is it difficult to move around? No, I actually move it quite easily. This is right now in the living room because I'm filming this video, but it actually lives in my other room where all my fitness stuff is. So I would say it's fairly easy. It has 2 wheels on it, so you just tilt it forward and push it around on the wheels. Nothing difficult about it. I am not the biggest, strongest person in the world. I'm 5'1". I'm a woman and I can still push it around, so I think it's pretty easy. Next question, can you use this bike's manual resistance knob without the smartphone app? No, you can't, unfortunately. You actually have to connect it to a Bluetooth app in order to connect the resistance levels. Next question, how hard was it to change out pedals for clips? Do you need to use a wrench? It wasn't that hard, to be honest. Again, it's something I did, and not super tricky or difficult. You just need to be patient and you need to make sure you have enough grip strength and just strength in general to really tighten on the pedals. It's really important to make sure they're on tightly. So nothing difficult. I've done it myself. Next question. I'm wondering, do you still love your Echelon? I'm thinking about ordering one this and canceling my Peloton order. Yes, I still love it. I've done a recent video kind of 3 years later of my spin bike and if I would purchase it again. If you want more details on if I'm going to keep my bike, if I would purchase a Peloton, I would actually check out that video, which I will link up in the description. Next question is, how is the World Ride feature? How many rides do they have? I've been deciding which bike to get. So I have only done one scenic ride on the Peloton app, and that was in Singapore. I thought it was really beautiful. Obviously, it is a bit artificial because it is that, but I think it's really nice because it looks like you're riding around in a different city, a different place. I think there's a few coast rides as well that I saw, and then some through hills as well. All really great. I think if you're looking for a scenic ride, there are a number of options in the Peloton app. Next question, may I ask whether you purchased a different seat? I noticed that my seat tilts forward slightly. If your seat is tilting forward, make sure you're actually screwing it on correctly and getting the right tension on the seat so it doesn't move. I personally did not change my seat out. I know that some people who have, let's say, bonier behinds or just uncomfortable in a spin bike seat would get the more cushy seat. My thing is that with a spin bike, you're up and down out of the seat so often that it doesn't really matter to me. And when you start spinning, just expect your bum to be a little bit sore. Like, that is just the case. If I don't spin for weeks and I do a spin class, my bum is going to be sore. But if you want a cushier seat, feel free to change it out. I personally did not. Next question, do you mind sharing what you wear when spinning, both top and bottom? Would like to hear your suggestions. I usually actually spin in leggings and a sports bra. I personally actually use Lululemon products for the most part, some Gymshark stuff. If you want to check out any of that or any of the products I spin in, I will link it all in the description of this video. And final question is, what about socks? Is there a certain type of sock I should be wearing with spin shoes? I think any sock that you use to work out in is probably the same. I have the athletic socks that are only like no-show or ankle, and they're breathable, so if I get sweaty that it doesn't actually smell. That's my preference, but you can really wear whichever sock you'd like. I prefer a thinner, lightweight sock because I might get sweaty and also just the fit into my spin shoe. Oh my gosh, wow. I have answered every single one of your guys' questions about my Echelon EX3 spin bike. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it answered any and every question that you guys do have. If for some reason I did not get around to answering your question or you have a new question, of course, feel free to leave it down in the comment section of this video and I will respond to you as quickly as I can. If you are interested in anything that I mentioned in this video, or you want to check out other videos, or you want to know the products I talked about, I will link everything in the product description of this video, so make sure to check that out. And if you found this video helpful, or if any of my Echelon EX3 spin videos have really helped you in making a decision about buying this spin bike or not, I would really appreciate a virtual coffee where basically you're giving me a tip for making this video. So if you would like to leave me a little tip, I'll leave the link for a virtual coffee down below. Anyways, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you guys are interested in more content like this or just my life in London, please make sure to hit that big red subscribe button and make sure you turn on the bell notification so you know exactly when my next videos are going live. Right, guys, I hope you are having an amazing day wherever you are in the world, and I hope to catch you in my next video. Bye!